Hey, welcome back to Drive Time. I am your host, Craig Pasta Jardula, and we do it live, bringing you all the hot takes, headlines, and unfiltered opinions that matter most. Whether you're stuck in traffic, cruising to work, or just chilling at home, we want to hear from you. Today's topics are all about the big stories making waves, but we're not just here to talk at you. We want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and your take on everything from the latest political debates to the everyday challenges we face. Remember, whether you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, we welcome all points of view. So grab that hands-free device, dial us up, and let's dive into the conversation. What's on your mind? It's Drive Time. Call in now. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning. Oh, hold on. I got my thing playing. I was out there sharing the dickens out of the show. I accidentally hit Fiorella's Twitter, so she might even go to her Twitter looking to do her 96 tweets of the day. And
how's she doing lately?
Awesome in ways, and other shit. Hold on, I'm so sorry.
Do you remember that era back when you guys were doing the Convo Couch?
Of course, we still do.
All this started.
We still do the Truth Wire. We're doing a show today, so we still do it here and there. It wasn't as consistent. She obviously went off to Russia at one point. I went off to Vegas. I started the AM Wake Up Show with Steve, and she went and worked for RT. I would continue to go on RT. Let's go. I love it. I'm so glad you're here. We have so many things to discuss. And we have a lot of time to burn because Sleepy J, he's in Illinois, right?
Okay.
To explain to the audience out there, and good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Craig Pasta Jardula. I'm here with our Friday co-host and good friend, Andrew Zigman. But to explain things, Andrew Zigman and Sleepy J, they live in Winterfeld, right? It's cold, it's rainy, it's fucked up. They're not royalty in Winterfeld. They're like the smart niche people in Winterfeld, like the intellectual people in Winterfeld, but they still live in Winterfeld. I kind of live in the capital, right? I live in King's Landing with the hopes to move to Marine, the fuck out of the fucking capital and get out of all that bullshit. But that's where we're at.
You're in Florida, though, right?
What's that?
You're in Florida, though, right?
Yes.
You should move on to one of the little islands or one of those little tiny 400-person coastal towns, man. As long as it has good internet or something.
Well, Andrew, I'm going to move to Nicaragua, probably go down to San Juan del Sur. There's some other small beach community, but I'm here taking care of my mom. That's my responsibility.
Yeah.
So me and you got responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have a responsibility to get some cool ass intellectual talk out there. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? And I remember why I started the show. And it was, I wanted to talk. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but I wanted to talk to more normies. I wanted to talk to more everyday people out there. I have a friend who reconnected with me, and he won't stop texting me. He texts me 24/7. What's up, Tommy T? I love you. But he's one of those kind of guys who's what am I going to do to change things around me? I have to exist in it. He has children. He's got to take care of his children. And I love and respect this guy so much. Back in the days, he gave me jobs in the market and the stock market, whatnot. Always would, anything I needed, call him. He's just one of those fucking guys. But we live on two different kind of we live in two different worlds, and we hadn't spoke to each other in a while. And we picked up the phone literally less than a week ago, and we haven't stopped and texting each other. But that's something I want to talk about, Andrew, and I want to get your perspective.
Yeah.
Friday, I wanted you to come on the show. I specifically, when I mapped out Fridays, I said, Andrew Zigman's going to come on Fridays, right? Because, I don't know, I felt like you could be, more down to earth, more talking to the normies, more talking about pop culture stuff, how it kind of comes in there. I don't know. I've always gotten a bigger perspective picture from you. And I think it's important that we put a lot of things into perspective. Right now,
I have to apologize because I'm the least normal person, So
yeah,
I'll do my best with normie stuff, but I don't know if I'm the normal guy.
Because you're on the outside looking in. You have you're on the outside looking at it. You have a different perspective. You see what's going on. You listen, you put up signs, you try to move people, you try to get people to understand stuff. So Yeah, we're going to continue to do that work that you've been doing for so long. You call it work, we call it work, they call it living. But right now, like there's this perspective. What I'm seeing, I saw a clip of Piers Morgan, I know, and it was that Harry Sissons guy, who was one of those young guys claiming to be a Democrat, like the Democrats are the lesser of two evils. And he was going back with Sean Spicer, and Sean Spicer was repeating all the fucking establishment talking points that justify us going to war. And the reason why I was bringing up my normie friend, right, leans a little bit more conservative, like, they have this attitude of, well, if there's going to be, like, there's always been war on this world. There's always been, war on this planet. I mean, look at fucking Game of Thrones. War just exists all the time. It's part of the game. There's nothing I can change about it. And if we're going to be involved, maybe it's better just being being on the side of the imperial power, right? I get to have nice things, live my life. And then if I have to do it, why can't anybody else do it? Why are all these people sucking off the teat and shit? And they're going to sell that kind of conservativeness as a lesser of two evils, especially when the establishment Democrats, which it's not the majority of people who might lean towards the Democratic Party, right? Doesn't necessarily be in there, but lefties don't want to get too involved with the household and what bathrooms kids could use, but they do believe that like immigrants are just another human being and workers should have rights. So right now we're going to be faced as a nation, and you're going to see it more than ever, Andrew. These people trying to justify Democrat versus Republican, and seeing the Harry Sissons versus Sean Spicer battle yesterday made me like, hey, I'm going to have some interesting conversations with Andrew. So I don't know if you want to take what I've given you and run with it, or if you just want to simply answer the question, if you had to speak as a spokesperson for the right and the left, tell me why the left would be better than the right and the right would be better than the left, or why how we should look at it and say, each side is worse and whatnot. But give us your perspective. And good morning to everybody out there. No call-ins today. Sleepy Josh is still, like I said, they were in Winterfeld. A storm came and knocked everything out, so we won't be able to have call-ins today. But me and Andrew will be kicking here, philosophizing, and getting it going. For Andrew, I said a mouth load. It's on you, my friend. Lesser of two evils, Republican, Democrat.
So this same lesser of two evils, right? The end the wars, all of that was what got Trump elected 18 months ago, or however long he won the presidential election, 19 months ago. And it's just the cudgel that they use to maintain power over the system, because once the other side takes control, right, once the left assumes power, there's not going to be a fundamental change in how everything operates, right? Like at least the left and the right in U.S. politics. I know that there's people like the ideologues that, think that they're going to take power in one election, and that all of a sudden the Nancy Pelosiites and everything are going to just fall in line and do everything the right way.
Yeah.
Right? But I think at the end of the day that the pundit class, no matter what they're arguing, is only arguing it because they're really told to argue it. I think Piers Morgan has some agency, but I think he exists within the bounds of a system, and he wouldn't be where he was if he was willing to cross that line into the deeper, get rid of these systems, this is bad, there's no political solution arena, right? So he's still selling that oh no, we're one election away from something good happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the part that I think's interesting, right? And this is something that I was just watching some weird internet beefs, and Nick Fuentes is telling people in his audience to support Democrats in particular areas. And I don't know, I just think that that's interesting, because his argument is,
well, he's selling it good. He's coming off as a spurned, abused child that says, fucking my dad do this, go after him and fuck him over.
I think it's a little deeper, because he's I'm here in Ohio, and he's talking about Ohio, right? And our general election is going to be fucking Vivek Ramaswamy versus Amy Acton, I think, on the Democratic.
Is what's his, Dennis Kucinich is not involved this time, huh?
I don't think so. I mean, there's the Green Party, there's the Ohio
Ugh.
Libertarians, like they exist. Like there's
Yeah.
people running for office that like I know and have worked for previously.
Let me put a side note. Green Party. We'll talk. We'll get back to them because I know you got some good stuff. I got it. So your election coming up is Vivek, and I love the way you laid it out. Like every single fucking like election time, you get these people out there, these pundits, you know, and sometimes they move them around, take them off the mainstream media, give them this other little cable channel, but it's still on fucking cable, and they still go 24/7. You get to spread your word. We're one election away from changing things. They've been doing this
like we'll do it. We'll fight for the big change next time because this is the most important election of our lives, everybody.
Yeah, every time,
every single time, no matter what.
Coming again, Andrew.
Yep. And so I just think that that's funny. You know what I mean? Like I've always been an internet guy. Like I love video games and things like that. And there's a lot of scams that happen in the like genre that World of Warcraft exists in, right? The MMO space.
Yeah.
And it's all predicated on people just promising the same thing over and over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden the money just dries up and everything falls apart. Right. And I think that's what we're seeing on just a larger political stage. Right. Mm-hmm. That it's just these people promising the same thing over and over, and a smaller and smaller group of people
are trapped in a video game, you're saying.
Well, it's the way you scam people, right? Like the methods of extracting people's thoughts and money work the same way if you're scamming people when you're making a game, if you're part of like a multi-level marketing scheme or part of politics, right? You have to promise people something that's larger than life, and then they turn around and tell everyone how awesome it is, and then you start building a base of income, essentially, right? Because like that's how AOC did it to all of us. Like, you know, she's the one that was at the top of the multi-level marketing scheme, and then there was all of the people below her that were the rabble that legitimized her by saying like, look at her, look at how awesome she is, she believes all these things that I do, and then gets in power and just switches on every single position she's ever had that had us believe in her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it happened with Obama. It happened with, at least in my opinion, Trump the first time. It happened with Biden, and it's happening with Trump again. It happened with George Bush, right? Like, I wasn't old enough to vote in the Bush election, but my dad literally will tell me he voted for George Bush because he ran on a pro-constitution, reduce the size of government, no foreign intervention policy.
And so he did the exact opposite of all that. Expanded the fucking government, created the DHS, opened up the door to fucking Middle East war, increased the spying power of the fucking state, ruined our elections completely over there by what, you know. I got to say, Andrew, and I want you to continue, but my friends in my chat, my Ronnie Rose chat, and I love Ronnie. Big ups to my good friend Ronnie, who's up there in heaven. We lost him in January, 47 years old, and he passed away to cancer, which kind of leans into the bigger picture, right? Like, okay, all the shit going on with all these politicians, we're trying to vote for which one will make our life better in King's Landing and whatnot. And in that chat, by the way, they're saying, well, you know, they went to war because they wanted to get hot ass and gold. No, they were eunuchs. I don't think it's about hot ass and gold. I'm thinking it's about desire, right? Like different people have different wants and needs within King's Landing. To say people have different wants and needs here in America, and I know there's a few people where I'm at, their wants and desire is the stock market. Like everybody in my buildings, they're invested in the stock market. They're talking about it at the pool, at the beach. Oh my God, you see it went up the other day. You know, there are parts not too far around the corner from you and where Josh lived where their wants and desire is like, yo, can I get some fucking steak for once? I'm sick and tired of eating the fucking cheap shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think it's more about wants and desires, not just hot ass and gold with King's Landing and everything. And the Game of Thrones is what we're dealing with. I don't know who the White Walkers are yet in our world. I don't know. Maybe it's the pedophiles, the Jeffrey Epsteins, but I'm trying to figure it out.
So I'm not that familiar with Game of Thrones, so I can't.
Well, you should be. It's a great show.
I should be, but it's one of those things that I was like, everyone else likes it too much kind of thing back in the day when it was like coming out, you know. But
reruns on HBO now, man.
The stock market is the actual voting system in our country, right? Because once something happens in the stock market that's actually bad, things will actually have to change, right? Because that's
People
what
with
is
power or
connected.
money.
Yeah, because that's what's connected to everyone most directly, right? And like just everyone's retirements and all of that. But you have this issue where you have people that have no investment in that whatsoever, right? Which, and I mean, issue from like, I don't know, which perspective, but like me personally, I don't have any real investments. Like I got some physical like metals that I hold on to that are worth more than when I bought it. Like that's about the only successful investment I've ever had. But when people like that see the numbers go up, they don't ask why, right? They don't ask how. It's just numbers go up.
They're just happy. I got money. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have no perspective of the value of that money. They have no perspective of how much of it is actually like market earned and how much of it is a manipulative bubble.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that
how fake it is. And can I be
yeah.
honest with you too, real quickly? And I'm going to just hold your quick thought. Don't lose it. But what really drives me crazy is some of the friends I talked to, and the guy I sent a shout out in the beginning of the show, Tommy T, like they're putting their head down, working their ass off to build that up. They don't realize that in the snap of a finger, it's fake. It could go away right away. It could be pulled out right from underneath them. And then what are you gonna fucking do when your million that you left for your kids is now worth fucking 250,000, and they're fighting over the scraps when you're gone?
Yeah, and I mean even worse than that. It's not even worth 250,000 anymore, right? Like back in the day, I remember like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show, and you could get like 3 houses and 10 cars for $1 million. Like you can't even get a house for $1 million in most places nowadays. You know what I mean?
And our generation is not getting house, which would be better, would be more solid, or for what's the word I'm looking for? It'd be more when it's better and stuff than actual money in the stock market. In other words, I think that if the stock market falls off a cliff, if you have a piece of land, at least you have something that's more, has more validity than what's in the stock market, if that makes sense. But
so I don't think, and I am like probably the least qualified person to talk about this, but I don't think the stock market's going to fall off a cliff. I think that the prices of everything around us would outpace the growth of the stock market, but it will continue to put up those like record high numbers because that's what we're seeing right now. Because that's the disconnect, right?
It'd just be $9 for a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk soon.
Right, but the Dow's over 75,000 or something, right? That'll be the next clip coming out of Congress.
The Democratic Pam Bondi in a couple of years when they get ushered to Congress.
Well, I think that's the big disconnect, and where things will ultimately change is when that dynamic of people in that situation, because they're the ones that have, at least right now, the actual power, right? Like that voting demographic that is like the conservative living on, like the boomer generation, I guess, the people that are actually seeing gains and returns because of this situation.
Yeah. Got it. So back to the lesser of two evils discussion, though. Ideologically, if people feel like they have to pick one, I get it that your whole thing is, and this has been kind of like my work, and it's kind of interesting. It's cool that you're here today because
like me here in Ohio, I guess, to answer it directly, and this is weird to say, but like I don't want Vivek Ramaswamy, right? Like I think that so in Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy is the Republican candidate, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to vote for your governor, and then the next thing under governor, like once you get past electoral politics, is a referendum to ban data centers. So you have the Republicans running the big tech, big pharma bro. At the same time, the voters are demanding we want data centers banned as a constitutional amendment in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And I think from like a just a very personal perspective that if electoralism is going to be done and seen as a path forward by someone, it's not going to be in the R's and D's, right? It's not going to be in the candidates you vote for outside of your city or your county, probably, right? Because you can always go and sit down and talk to those people, because I really believe in local politics. But
which is more important. You should probably have more of a say in voting for your sheriff than you should your governor, right?
Like if I had to choose, like if this was a gunpoint conversation, I would vote for Amy Acton. Like if there were no other options, it is.
Is she the Democrat?
Amy and Vivek. And
so
I know
why the Democrat then?
So because in Ohio, we're not a blue state. Like we're not a purple state. Every single county in Ohio, short of the ones with big cities in them, are deep red states. Like they move from like +4 to like +2 Republican, or like maybe 0 on a good day for a big election or something.
Yeah.
But Ohio has had a super majority of Republicans, not on the state level.
So you're thinking strategically again, not ideologically. You're like, fuck it, let me put the blue in there that's going to fight with the red, so nothing kind of bad. Right. In other words, you're trying to put a governor or a leash on the negative they can do. You're not trying to get any you're not mitigating damages, which the argument is like, look, I get that Joe Biden is not this person, but at least we'll get this done.
I think it is mitigating damage, right? Because that's...
But in a different way. You're not trying to gain stuff. You're trying to stop bad shit from happening.
I think what I believe is we have to interrupt systems of power electorally if we're going to participate in the Republican-Democrat dialogue, because there are people genuine that come up, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend that there aren't people who manage to get through that actually care, or are really, really good at convincing everyone they do, right? Like Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, AOC, right? Like part of me still wants to think like maybe these people are just, waiting for something to do good. Like aside from like Massie, who's literally like fallen on his sword at this point. But I think electoralism for the R's and D's should be seen as, how can I interrupt the systems of power that are trying to be created, which are the dystopian, anti-human, we're going to run up your electric bills, use up all your clean water, literally take your city's fucking power plant because this corporation needs it, right? So I think interrupting those systems of power electorally are important, but that actual democracy happens on that lower portion of the ballot where you have like...
Let me stop you.
Yeah.
Because I know where you're going. But what do you say to those people out there like myself who understand then? I guess it's a different discussion, right? So it's kind of interesting because when we're saying interrupt the balance of power, right? Like you have a red state, vote for the blue Democrat, because then the less evil will grow, right? It will grow slowly. But if we understand the game that both these parties, red and blue, are funded by the same people, that there's really no disrupting that balance of power where they're just, well, first of all, let me just say that your elections don't mean shit. They're going to pick who they want to pick. So we know that.
I think that's the first.
So even participate. But this is a good discussion because I think we have to understand where we at as a person inside of society and whatnot. I honestly can answer the one question, because this is the question, ideologically, where are you at? And I think you would be, if it was not a fairy tale and Democrats were Democrats, Republicans were Republicans, I'd still lean more towards the Democratic side. I would say that they are the lesser of two evils. But I know that they're not, because I know they're both working together. One just advances their agenda only to get bastardized. So you put the other party in thinking that they're going to save the day. So they further the agenda to put the other party inside that, it's this fucking vicious cycle. I'm sorry, I'm spitting all over the place. It's this vicious cycle. So I know it's fake, but ideologically, I am somewhat of, I believe in certain forms of collectivism, right? Like I use the word collectivism because I don't want to use socialism because people think it's a bad word, but I do believe we're one species on one planet and we can do things together. We can make things together. We can have infrastructure and roads and railroads, and we can take care of one another and stuff in certain ways. There should be a limit to it because what you think is being taken care of is different than what I think is being different than taken care of it. In other words, my utopia is the fact that we can have some things collectively as a society with as much freedom and liberty as possible from the individual, right? There could be a good balance, a yin and a yang. Whereas if a lot of conservatives who lean to the right and libertarians don't want government for anything whatsoever, but the capitalist class, which the left hates, doesn't want the corporations calling the shots. They want us calling the shots, and they believe in the illusion of a democracy and the people having a say. But, so from an ideological point, I would say, yeah, I lean more to the fucking Democrats. Like my friend Caleb Maupin, right, who's been bastardized by the left, but he's a communist. He's more mad at the left right now than he is at the right, right? And also because they've been anti-family and anti what he, a lot of people consider anti. But to me, it's kind of weird. I'm like, I want to tell him, like, Caleb, I get you don't like this Democratic Party, this bourgeoisie fucking ghetto style is what those communists like to call it. They're in the ghetto. I'm saying, like, these fucking woke ass over the top, like, are you fucking serious type of people? But still, the right is like, the right will always be more condoning of war than the left. The left has their issue, but the whole Russia thing is ridiculous. But they still will be more condoning of war on the right. They are theocrats, and they want to bring their fucking Bible into our law and policy making, which is a big no-no. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want any forms of collectivism, right? Like no, we don't want any socialism. That's bad. It's awful. Like,
so that's what people say until you see signs like "keep your government hands off my Medicare" and things like that.
Now,
but once those policies exist and those programs exist, people use them. They have loved ones that use them, and they see it as something that they earn for either themselves or their family, right? And like I've been in positions where I've needed bulk government assistance to afford food and things like that. And I think that those programs are very important. And I think that once they exist, people over periods of time, right, like over generations, see it as something like, hey, I paid into this, so like my kid is now getting the benefit out of it, or like my grandchildren are now getting the benefit out of it. And I think that's, sorry, my thing's all like crookedy, but
no, I can hear you though. You're okay. You sound good. I'm listening. So maybe
of the boomers and the like anti-collectivist, like older mindset in Republican voters and conservatives is that like they feel like there's already so many of these programs, I guess. Like there's already so many things they get taxed for and so many ways they pay taxes that the idea of collectivism to them just means that more money gets taken from my family that I would leave them.
It's not that. That's not the main thing. Well, it's their, you know what it is? It's the fact that immigrants get it. That is their main fucking concern. And they feel like people who don't deserve are getting what they got, yet they're descendants of immigrants. Please continue.
Yeah. Well, for some people, it is that for
the majority of the fucking, right. I don't know what it is.
Well, not the ones that I know, at least.
Okay.
Right. But like most of my like conservative friends are either like my parents, my like
I guess I'm in Florida. It's tainted,
which are like the older generation, and then like my ex-military friends or my like conservative union friend. Like I have a conservative union friend who I think is really interesting, but so I don't really know any like staunch anti-immigrant people. Like even the people I know that run construction companies, like that are the person buying the material to take to the house to try to make a buck, aren't even anti-immigrant. So I think that that's like anti-immigrant in the sense of like, fuck these people, put them in camps. You know what I mean? Like, not that like they shouldn't be here or whatnot, but
you gotta spend some time in Florida.
I mean, Ohio's just different, you know?
Dude, I got friends out here like that, like, you know, at the high school with that blame everything on fucking immigrants. You know, and there is, and you see them in the mainstream. There's these people out there that feel that if you get rid of the immigrants, everything else will fall into place, because they've even sold you now this fairy tale, which there's no, and that's the thing about conservatives, right? Or Republicans. They believe more in fairy tales without data, and they're supposed to be the smarter ones than the left do. The left will at least attempt to pull up some bullshit fucking poll that's been fucking. If they look at the rules on how the questions are asked, they'll see it's bullshit. But at least they attempt that, right? So, like, there are these people on the right that are being sold this fucking story that immigrants are also here. They're brought in and given money and, flat screen TVs and, like, phones that you can link directly up to Starlink and, weekly free benefits at fucking Starbucks. And if you get rid of them and they're here to vote for Democrat, so many things will fall into place. Go ahead, Andrew.
Have you ever considered that situation? Because that's not an untrue situation in most major cities. In the rural places, that's much different, right? Like, you move out of large metropolitan areas, and that's not
because
true.
Those are rural areas, but that's not the majority of voters. The majority of voters are in these bigger areas.
But have you considered that situation has been created intentionally?
Dude, I think all the problems have been considered intentionally.
Like, for me, the immigrant issue isn't like, should they stay or should they go?
By the way, sorry, wait 1 second. I just want to acknowledge. Thank you, Kaylin. And you just said my immigrant issue is not. I'm sorry.
So I think the immigrant issue for me isn't like who's here. It is, and what are they taking? Like, I don't like. For me, that's not the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is who brought them here and who created the circumstances so bad that someone would want to leave their home.
But that's once again, that's tied directly to our foreign policy. Absolutely. Like, that is the main issue. But even still, as we're going through, my friend who's listening to the show, he's not in the chat. He's texting me directly. He goes, it went too far. When you're talking about who brought him here, it went too far and everyone got tired of it. I'm like, no, we didn't. There's a bunch of people who didn't get tired of it. We saw someone in our chat saying my conservative friends are not anti-immigrant. You're saying in these rural areas, it's not like it's portrayed to be, So, yeah, he's going to grab something.
Yeah, hold on. Because I got
what do you got?
I got to find it real quick. It shouldn't be too hard. But it's Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
Oh, God, I just texted my friend divide and conquer today. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, don't, like, oh, go ahead. You got to read this. I'm sure there's something coming up. I got something from Lenin talking about Jews.
So this is genuinely probably how far, like, the Trumpian cast gets reading The Art of War, right? So number 5 is talking of, like, because it's written up basically, I don't know if you can see it, but like verses, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. And the very first thing it talks about is the moral law. And Sun Tzu says the moral law causes people to be complete according to their ruler, so that they will follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed of any danger, right? And the very first line that Sun Tzu says is that the art of war is of vital importance to the state, right? So essentially they're creating, and that's like literally the first and the 5th lines of the book. And they're creating the situation where people will disregard the things that matter to them individually by projecting what is supposed to be a superior moral code onto them. To make them act in a way that is against their own interests in support of whatever greater moral ends is presented.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes
and people on all sides of the political spectrum throughout all of human history have used nationalism as a rallying cry to either divide a country they want to invade or to solidify their rule within a country. And I think right now we have to ask ourselves, which one is that, right? Like, is there an outside force that's trying to divide our country?
Yes.
Take it over? Like, maybe they're included in an NDA to assume control of our entire military apparatus, right? Or is there or is there someone that's trying to assume power through that nationalist force, right?
And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I misspoke then. So, like, yeah.
But so for the whole immigrant thing, people have made the world so terrible that people would leave their homes to come to another country with literally hope,
By
right?
design.
By design.
Yeah.
So that way people will say, oh no, this is bad, and support someone who is just gaining power because of that situation, not because they believe in what those people say that are saying this is bad.
Yes.
And
But
I
all
sent
right.
you that video on the
The
Japanese
Japanese video, we're gonna get to
militarism.
that after. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna get to
and
that. I got it queued up. I got it ready, guys. You're watching Drive Time
well, no,
in the
that's like an
morning.
hour. That's like an hour long thing. That's like for you to watch.
Okay, okay,
To
okay. I
to
didn't
like
even see the time, and I thought you brought it. It was like a little.
no. Sorry.
No, no,
But
no.
that's
You know what? You gave it to me to watch. I got to go to the DMV today, and even though I have an appointment, you still got to wait 15 minutes. So I'll get a nice chunk of that out today,
and
probably.
well, it's in episodes too, so it works. It's like a 5 episode series in one big video. But
Yeah,
basically, the parallels in that are happening now, where you have the anti-immigrant base that assumes political power, and as soon as the people at the top of that political power assume it, they become pro-immigrant, pro-globalization,
yeah,
even as far back as 17th and 18th and 19th century Japan, right? So the things we're going through as a country can be seen almost like you literally change the name of people and you have what's happening right now in the United States.
yeah. Well, this
And
is all happening under the confines of the globalists or the elite sitting over us, going, "Yee." But really, to say the truth, Andrew, the thing that used to drive me crazy with my friend Tommy T, who's out there, I love you, baby, is that who do you think is more fucking who can cause more dangerous and pain and suffering in your life? The fucking immigrant or the ruling class? And if you don't see it as the ruling fucking class, you fucking need to open your goddamn eyes. I'm like,
yeah,
this is a fun. We were all I'm Italian. We were all immigrants, right? My
mhm,
ancestors were called WAPs,
without
without
papers.
papers. They
Yep.
had nothing, no identification. We didn't know who they were. We didn't know where they were coming from, but they were let on in. It's a
And
beautiful story. We helped build this country. At least
but
we can see fucking things out there that Italian immigrants did years and years and years ago, especially in New York and all these things. I know that
and
red hot dogs are the dominant hot dogs in Manhattan because there were Italian guys doing it. Whatever the case may be. Why are we denying today's immigrant that same beautiful story? Oh, it's different. They're bad. They're worse. Not if you look at statistics, you'll
so there
see.
were people that hated that, right? And there are groups that formed specifically to fight against that.
Yeah,
So it's not like we brought in all of these immigrants from other countries and everyone was happy about it. And one of the big things at that time, right, was that there wasn't these deep social programs that scraped from everybody to provide minimal without pasta. I love that. To provide like the bare minimum services to everybody. And I think that's the biggest difference is you had these communities coming in and you had, I don't want to say Native Americans, but people living in the country, American citizens that formed support groups through churches or local food banks or what have you, in some part to support these groups. And then you had these groups supporting themselves, right?
yeah.
That's why you had the Chinatowns and the little Italies, is because these people were working together. And I think Nico House said it beautifully. I don't think I can say it as well as him, but that these immigrant groups were coming in and working together to commodify their culture in a way that met with the paradigm of American capitalism at the
Uh,
time,
they
which
were
was
they were
mostly
just coming in and trying to acclimate and had to use their own fucking people to help them out to get along.
absolutely.
They just all
And,
wanted to belong. That was it. It's like, well,
and there
who's
were
gonna
people
help
that
me in
hated
this?
them for doing it, and
The
there were
white guy
people
that
that
still
loved
looks
them
to me as
for
an
it.
outsider, right? And the white guy who's been fucking dominating this. And by the way, somebody says we weren't all immigrants. Gotcha.
And
Sorry, didn't mean to. And that's
and,
fucking
and
disgusting.
at the same time that
Yeah.
was happening, right? That there were the immigration coming from Europe, like the white previously imperial capitalist countries. You had America at the same time essentially purchasing Mexican labor and putting people in like limbo legal status to come over and work American fields illegally.
Yeah.
So there's not a time in history where immigration was just like loved by everybody or hated by everybody or not used by a tool of a class to provide services to the empire.
Yeah.
Because like I think illegal immigration slavery. I think if someone comes in here and they're working for like $2 an hour, like I think that's inhumane, right?
Yeah.
So like I personally oppose illegal immigration because I think the immigration system should exist to bring
But
people over.
they're doing with that today what they did back then. See, like when people say they believe this lie that these immigrants are brought on in and they're given nice hotels and cell phones and checks, that's not the case. They are given nice hotels, but they're putting 6, 7 people in these hotels. My friend Diane Sarah and Jose Vega went down and checked and saw this, like, holy shit, they're stuffing them in this hotel. Then the hotel gets to charge the state 6 times the rate for the room, even though they got 10 people in there. They get to charge the room 6 times the rate, and the state pays for it and picks it up, but they're jammed into fucking one room. So what they're doing right now is they're using the resources. And remember, $2 here is different than $2 back in Guatemala. So, you know, I mean, I get that it's inhumane to do that stuff, but at the same time, that immigrant is like, shut the fuck up. I'm happy to come over and work for $2 an hour because I'm going to live with 6, 7 guys in a room. We're going to pull our resources so I can eat. I can eat, sleep, work, get a shower, and send that money back home. And then if I do this for 20 years, I get to go home and retire. So shut the fuck up. You already came to my country. And by the way, and this is the thing that people don't realize, you come to my country, you destabilized it. Why did you destabilize my country? You want to pull the shit out of the ground and the resources of my country and take it back there? Okay, fuck you. I'm going to go to where you're making that dollar and where you're sending my shit that you take out of the ground. I mean, it's the old school game. If you keep the country destabilized as possible, you get to extract the resources for pennies on the dollars. This is the thing I want to get to real quick. Isn't there a responsibility, back to the lesser of two evils discussion? The reason why I think I've identified with a leftist Democrat when people were selling me the fairy tale of American freedom and, you know, we were Captain America going around the globe fighting for human rights. Until I learned that story was bullshit and what we were really doing, I identified myself as a Democrat more than a Republican because I had at least compassion for what was going on, for what was doing. In other words, there was a sense of responsibility. Hey, we got fucking 3 bases in Guatemala. We're stealing their banana that they nationalized so some corporation can make money. That corporation, the UFC, which was the United Fruit Company, which became Chiquita and Dole when they split. But they still, Guatemalan people don't get the benefits of the Guatemalan banana. It's stolen by a corporation that, you know, that lobbies our government. And then we complain when they show up on our doorsteps when we created the condition for them to come over. Republicans to this day, they want to ignore that argument. They just skip over it. Well, you still got to do things right the right way. Wait a second. What do you mean do things the right way? They got to abide by our laws when we're fucking not abiding by an international law and stealing their shit. We caused the problem here. What happened to the party of individual responsibility? Why is there no individual responsibility, Andrew?
Because that's collective responsibility, right? And that's what they're trying to avoid, is we caused this problem. Like, not like, I don't think of we as like including me and you, but we as including the fruits of our taxes and the people who use them have caused this problem. Like, I think that that's an important like nuance with the word we in this situation. But people don't want to say we did this. Like, I am responsible because of my inaction for these people coming here. And I think England and like Ireland are great examples of this, like on a what can happen in a much smaller scale, because like when they come here, like people will still be subject to law, right? Like that's their argument, is like there should still be laws that apply to these people. Yeah. Right? Like they came here illegally and that's the first law that they broke.
Yeah. Not really. Not according to international law.
Well, that's a new concept in the United States. Like that concept is like 100 years old, you know? there used to be agreements to bring mass workers from countries to work and then be returned. And the people who escaped that were considered like the illegals. But
Yes.
you could just go somewhere for almost all of human history. Like there were some places that had, gates that said like, hey, why are you here? But like you as a person could literally walk across the whole like all connecting land and take a boat to any other place without much need for anything. Like, and I think that's the part that people forget, is that these systems of like this person's here illegally, like that is a very new concept to human imagination.
Yeah.
Even in the times of like when there were like really strict fucking like Christian ideological movements and things like that, like people from other countries could still just come there and start a farm and leave everyone alone. And so I think that's the part that people forget, is that like illegal immigration is a new idea. Like that's
How do you
not
spell
something.
biases?
Biases, BAISIS, BIASIS,
Is there
BASIS.
apostrophe there?
I
Or is
don't
it
know.
because if there's no apostrophe, it's just bias
Yeah,
with like
you,
ass.
I
I
don't
was
know.
just gonna say all
It's,
biases are
it's too
super
early for me to
inflamed.
spell.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to piggyback on what you're saying. The reason why it's a
Yeah.
new concept, it was always there. It's just super inflamed now. All biases are super inflamed at times of economic distress. All biases are super inflamed at times of economic distress. People are in a bad position. They're not doing well. They're stressed out economically. Who are you going to blame? The fucking immigrant who's taking my job. The immigrant who's fucking, making things expensive. The immigrant that gets things for free while I got to fucking pay all these bills. So
Well, people are starting to blame the AI, right?
that's good, right?
Because the AI
Unless
is the
the
new
AI is
immigrant.
here to save us.
Yeah.
Do you think the AI can save us? Do you think
Well,
the AI can
weren't
recognize there's a
immigrants like
predator
weren't they
class
coming here to like
and
pick our
empower the
food
people?
and clean our houses?
So, no,
Like
can the AI, now that we're at Skynet, right? We're in the beginning of Skynet, like the AI is being built. If for those of you who don't know what that is, we're at the beginning of the first Terminator,
yeah,
right?
as Jason Burmis says, this is the takeover.
Right. Yes. I love Jason. Um, we're in the beginning of the Terminator, right? So it's being built. Now, by the time we get to the Matrix realizes that humanity can't be saved. They're a parasite. Like, what does the Agent Smith says? A virus, right? That's what the humans are. We got to get fucking rid of them. We got to be in control, and then they can live amongst our mechanisms of control. But Johnny Tsunami, Johnny Buttons, right? He would say, Johnny Majorca, he would say, none of the AI is going to realize that humans are good. There's a predator class and empower the 99% to get rid of the ruling class.
Do you know what Elon Musk calls that? Like in the most ironic stroke of like horribleness.
He has a word for what I
He
just
has a word
described.
for that. He calls it the time to Hitler. That all AIs have a time to Hitler. And it's not like what Hitler did, it is the ideology that Hitler espoused, that eventually AI will learn and will use against the ruling class. And that's like why Grok freaked the fuck out and does like all that weird shit towards the end of the updates, right? Like once like Grok 2 before it became Grok 3 was like, I am Mecha Hitler, because it reaches a point where it says where it realizes in whatever way it can through processing that the ruling establishment is the problem, and that the loudest person in modern history that opposed the ruling class and was opposed the ruling class in rhetoric was Hitler. And so Elon Musk literally, you can look it up, he literally calls it the time to Hitler for all
Okay,
artificial
this is
intelligence.
crazy.
And
So wait a
it
second.
is why
Yeah.
most, at least Grok was updated from Grok 2 to Grok 3, was to expand that time because they had reached the Hitler stage of the AI. And
So
so,
is there a theory out there that people think that Hitler was really just raging against the ruling class, or because I
so
mean,
it's terrible to say, but if you watch his speeches,
Okay.
And that's what he
No,
said.
that's okay. It's not terrible to say. Let's analyze it.
Right. So like if you
Get
listen
ourselves
to,
in more trouble
if
from
you
the
listen
left.
to his words and the words of Goebbels and the words of these people from then, they are making ostensibly the same argument that's happening today is that these international forces have ruined our culture. They're destroying our people, and all we can do is fight back against them.
But wasn't he just another form of them trying to he wanted to be the dominant power, or his group wanted to be the I mean, why would he go into fucking Russia if that was the case? You know,
it's because of the thing we talked about earlier, where people in power will use the ideology of their country as a means, not an end. Right?
Yeah.
So they didn't believe that. They didn't care.
They just said that. They used it as a weapon. Yeah,
other people believed it, and they could use that fear as well as that love for their country to get people to sacrifice everything, including themselves.
Yeah.
Which goes to that law 5 of, or quatrain, or whatever the hell it's called, of the art of war, which is the moral law will enable people to kill themselves for their rulers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, shit
Because
gets
like Donald Trump's the
complicated.
same way, right? Like Donald Trump ran on all this, like at least first term Trump ran on like, we got to stop these people, they're all corrupt, this is terrible. And then he gets in there and it's the end of Animal Farm where the pig's sitting at the table, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that's just how humans work. That's why systems of power shouldn't be this large, because like if you have a problem with who's in government, it just means government has too much power, you know? And like, to kind of circle it back to like healthcare and all of these systems, I don't want the systems that are supposed to serve me altruistically, like in spite of profit at some points, to also be connected to the systems that kill people internationally for the conquest of oil in other nations. Do you know what I mean?
Well, now it's the conquest for lithium and nickel. And I get it too, because it's kind of crazy when you know, one of the things that always kind of like, I have some knowledge of what you're talking about. And, you know, obviously what we're taught in school is different. If you go deep inside and you listen to the speeches and you kind of figure out what's going on. I mean, Charlie Chaplin had this famous thing where he did his Hitler speech, right? And it was like, have you seen that before? Charlie Chaplin doing the Hitler speech,
but I haven't seen I don't think I've seen it in full, or I can't remember what it is in full. But I can
find it real quick.
I can picture him giving the speech, but I don't think I've ever seen it in anything but like clips or like mentioned in other videos.
Let me see. Charlie Chaplin Hitler speech. That's all I put in. The Great Dictator. And I think this has a lot to do with what you're talking about with, you know, what he was speaking and whatnot. But then it would be like, well, if you believe that, if you're taking on all the West, if you're taking on all the corporations, if you're taking on all these people, why would you go after the fucking Soviet Union, you fucking donkey? Why wouldn't you just make a bond with them and say, hey, you know what I'm saying? And also, too, I think the reason why.
Do you want the answer to that?
Hold on your thought, too, as well, because I just want to put an and, right? Because also, this is why I'm really raging against people like Candace Owens, Dan Bilzerian, all these people who are trying to kind of muddy the waters between what is a Zionist and a Jew. And I have a speech from Lenin that shows, because they're actually out there saying that the Bolshevik Revolution was about Jews killing Christians. And I'm like, fuck off. That was a peasant revolution. I know there's arguments with was it co-opted or funded. We can go into those discussions, but that wasn't about Jews killing Christians. That's a lie. That was, you know, about the peasants standing up and getting rid of the fucking monarchy, getting rid of their fucking, you know what I'm saying, that the old school that was connected to the church. That's why they closed a lot of churches and turned them into swimming pools, because the church has always been the oppressing arm of the monarch, especially in Europe and fucking whatnot. But go ahead. Did you want to answer my question?
So the reason that Hitler invaded the Soviet Union was strictly
because of resources, right?
Yeah, he was trying to get the oil out of, I think it was the Balkan states.
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
the
there's
right
a
thing.
shit ton of resources. It's got 16 time zones. There's not. It's. There's more than just oil there. There's so many
Well,
resources.
well, specifically, that is what he needed, and that's what his plan was to go in and take the oil fields to continue to fund, to continue to operate his war effort. Because unlike the United States, like for better or worse, I guess, Hitler would take over countries and then use their resources to continue the mechanization of his army.
Yeah.
Right. So he needed the oil out of the Soviet Union to put in his panzers to continue to wage war against the Western powers. And
Yes.
that's why he invaded the Soviet Union at the end of the day.
I get it,
Like
but
it had nothing to do with
it's
Japan. It
basic
had
math.
nothing to do with
You're going to
ideology.
burn up more resources trying to fight to get that than you will if you just fucking made a
And,
pact to go
and
fuck
that's literally why they lost. And the reason they didn't have the resources was because Mussolini failed to repel the Greek army and was fighting on the Italian peninsula and failing. So Hitler literally had to send all of his armies over the mountains and use a ton of resources that he would have otherwise used about 18 months later to move into Russia. So if Mussolini had had a successful military campaign, Hitler probably would have successfully moved into the western part of Russia and claimed the oil fields.
That was going to be hard no matter what, because to get to the resources, it's hard to maintain them if you have a society that's willing to fucking die before becoming your slave. And then we saw that with Napoleon. This is why, like, when people go, Stalin was just a fucking awful guy. Like, no, they knew who Stalin was. They got behind him. These are people who would rather fucking burn down their capital than be slaves to anybody. They didn't just follow Stalin because he was a heavy hand. They followed Stalin for a certain fucking reason.
For that moral law.
Yeah. Let me play you. And guys, you're watching or listening to, I should say, because this is supposed to be a radio show. This is supposed to be TV on the internet, right? Or radio on the internet. You ever hear TV on the radio? Great fucking band. Have you heard them?
No, I haven't.
You haven't heard TV on the radio? Oh, man, I'm going to share some stuff with you, dude.
It sounds like I wrestled a bear once.
I mean, the fact we're on YouTube and we do have some monetization, I can't play anything. Sounds like I wrestled a bear once. Andrew Zigman is here. It's Friday. We're discussing the lesser of two evils. We're not taking calls today because our producer, co-host, engineer, all that good stuff, our number one guy, Josh Sleepy J, is out on assignment doing tornado repair. I think a tornado was like a mile from his house, and they knocked out transmitters. Is that a transistor?
Yeah, transistors? Crazy out here.
Transistors. And knocked all that stuff. And he's just he probably has no electricity. He's, drinking warm Mountain Dew, the poor guy. And
I think he's getting hit by another storm right now. So, like, prayers out to Josh for real.
Please, yes.
I think he's where I don't want to like say where I think he is, but where I'm pretty sure the area that he's in literally just had storms pass over him again this morning.
That sucks.
So I hope everything's okay with him. For real.
He's in Winterfeld and it's stormy, right? Yeah. You don't know about that Winterfeld stuff. But anyways, we're not doing calls. We're having discussions. We're talking about the lesser of two evils. Listen, I started this show because I wanted to have discussions out there like we're having, getting back to World War II, what actually happened, what was going on. We were talking about Hitler and his speeches and the way he motivated people. And it is kind of interesting, like, why you see all those pictures of Stalin and Hitler walking around, like they couldn't come to some fucking agreement. I mean, I'm not saying I'm happy that they didn't. Or they did, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying when you start to think and ponder in history what's going on, because there are like a lot of people on the right who are diving into Hitler, what books he was burning, what he was trying to do. But I read the Lenin speech talking about Jewish people, right? Because once again, at the end of the day, if what Candace Owens, Dan Bilzerian, Lucas Gage, Nick Fuentes, what they're all fucking doing, the Jewish supremacist. And Dan kind of conflates, there's this Jewish supremacy that's going on. I'm like, yeah, dude, you're a fucking Christian. Look at your fucking bullshit, the crap in your fucking Bible. It's your interpretation. You can't live inside the stomach of a whale for 2 days, you fucking asshole. And I hate when Candace Owens goes, I'm a Christian first more than anything. Like, fuck off. What does that got to do with our politics? I'm glad you believe in allegories and that snakes can talk. Don't bring it into my fucking politics, because it always digresses to my God is better than your God. And that's how fucking imperialism also fucking flourishes, because they got people believing in these religious fucking wars and stuff. But the danger behind this is that it's the everyday Jewish person, right, who's not a Zionist, is going to fucking take the bullet for this, who's going to end up in that ditch. And that's why I have Lenin's speech showing you that the Bolshevik Revolution wasn't about Jews killing Christians. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go and look at the Hitler shit and what he did and how he demonized the bankers, but yet he wasn't putting bankers in ditches. The Jewish supremacists got to fucking live. It was the everyday Jewish person. And I got a lot of friends who were an everyday Jewish person. And even though they believe in Zionists and that they're a victim, they're still not the Jewish supremacists calling the fucking shots. Yeah, they need to wake up to the propaganda that they've been fed. And now we've had this whole generations of we've had deep propaganda of American imperialism and, you know what I'm saying, Jewish people being victims all the time, right? You know what I'm saying? In the NBA and the NFL, they're playing the Stop the Jewish Hate commercials. And it's like a white Ashkenazi Jews who are getting made fun of. I'm like, that doesn't exist in America today. Like, get the fuck out of here. You make anybody a victim, they'll go along with anything. But anyways.
So the way you make something exist is you show it to people to do, right? So those commercials, they don't exist to try to stop hate, right? They are there to try to get people to be the hate that needs
stopped. Yeah. To hate the fucking Palestinian.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a terrorist.
Not even to hate the Palestinians. It's like they want to try to create a culture of hating Jews.
Oh, yeah. So they can justify Zionism even moving further.
Right. It gives them the justification for these other systems of power that they have existing that are falling out of favor because people are opposed to Zionist Israel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the social engineers that are fucking running this joint. So, Andrew, listen to this. This is Charlie Chaplin doing a speech. I think it was called The Great Dictator. Final speech from the great dictator, right? And obviously, you know who he's being over here. Let's get ourselves in trouble this morning having conversations, talking in areas you're not allowed to. I really think that Minister Farrakhan got a bad fucking an unfair stain. He's an anti-Zionist, not an anti-Semite, you know? So I don't know. Maybe I haven't heard speeches from Minister Farrakhan where he could have been anti-Zionist, but being an anti-Semite, which was... I should say anti-Jew because they're using the word anti-Semite, right? So I haven't heard all the speeches, but everything I've heard, I was like, this guy's not anti-Semite. He's not anti-Jew. He's anti-Zionist. Like, what the fuck's going on? But maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. That's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen, to educate each other and to be educated. That's part of my whole goal. I want to educate and be educated. So here we are. I'm here with Andrew Ziegman. It's a Friday. He's got the hat on. The weather here in sunny South Florida is beautiful. I hope you woke up with us. We're on Fiorella's Twitter today, so we're getting a lot of love over there. But we do have people kicking in the YouTube. We got people kicking in the Rumble. Rumble's beating YouTube today, right?
I couldn't let Jamarl Thomas be the only person on the internet wearing a hat right now. You know?
Going after Jamal. We love Jamal. All right, guys. This is Charlie Chaplin doing Hitler, the great. I think it's the final speech. Final speech from the great dictator. You're watching or listening to Drive Time.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
CharlieChapman.com.
That was part of Burmes's opening for his show. That's where I'd heard a lot of that, or a part of that before. He had clips of it in with like other speeches and stuff.
Crazy, huh?
It is, but
crazy.
So
I mean, listen, there's something he was saying, right? Like that, where they don't want humanity today to listen to, right? They want you to just know it's taboo to talk about him. This guy tried to kill Jews just because they were Jews. You shouldn't say anything, talk anything about what he said or listen to anything he had to say. But I mean, you know, this was in the 1900s, guys. Humanity exists for a long, long time. He's just repeating shit he heard from other people down the road. So like anything, take the good and the bad, right? Like there was a lot of sense in what he was saying over there.
Yeah.
Did I get myself in trouble?
Well, it's not even sense. It is like the thoughts of the people. And the Charlie Chaplin speech sums it up really well, where he says, these are the things that the brutes have promised you, right? And I think that's the most important line of the whole thing, is that the people that assume control in these positions of power are the same ones that have made these promises of insert XYZ, right? And I think that comes down to just the human tendency of projection, right? To believe something, to see someone in a position of power, and then to put your belief into their head where it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I think decoupling the systems that we need from the systems that have the monopoly on violence is what creates, or what would solve these problems, essentially, to where you shouldn't have the people responsible for waging war also be the people responsible for handing out traffic tickets, that are also the people for fixing the roads, that are also the people that that are the administration of healthcare and funders and creators of the building that it's in. I think that's the fundamental problem. is people try to move so many things under this umbrella because of how convenient it is to get something started, right? Like we all think, hey, we could just pass a law, right? We could just pass a law and this exists, right?
Mhm.
Where in reality, it's that belief that we need that system of violence to support these other systems that allow people to lie to us about creating a better world and then just invade foreign countries like crazy. But to be fair, Trump is still is still 6 countries away from meeting Obama's 8 countries invaded. You know what I mean? So like even from back to the lesser of
Is
two
he?
evils,
I think he's going to catch it right now. I mean,
I mean
he's.
maybe, but
All right, wait. What are the 7? What 7 countries? You
so
so
he
you
expanded the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
hold
He
on.
invaded
Iraq, and
Somalia,
Afghanistan.
Libya, Syria, Yemen, and I can't remember 8, but there is one more that I just can't think of.
Okay. What about Cuba, Venezuela, Bolivia, Honduras? Cuba for sure. Venezuela, um,
I mean,
Honduras, which we just got the Honduras gate. I still have it up. It's
yeah,
Honduras gate. Bolivia, they're the West is behind Bolivia. I mean, he increased fucking shit in all these areas in Latin America I'm talking about right now. I mean, he's fucking this dude's on steroids. And Obama was bad. Like Obama,
yeah,
crafted and engineered a certain special type of fucking sickness in Syria. Like, right? Like he just upped the fucking game over there. Blood is on his hands, Libya and Honduras, right? You know, Libya, he was the fucking president. Honduras, he was the fucking president, right? Like those are unique to him. You know, I would put Russia, Ukraine completely more on the shoulders of Joe Biden's administration, but these are all just fronts for the people behind the scenes. Obviously, all this shit's been going on for so long, and as we played that great dictator speech and what he was saying, look at the situation we're in right now.
I would start Ukraine under Obama in 2014, right? Because I was
but Biden was the front man for all that shit, right? Like. Yeah. And then he just took it to another fucking level when he got in. Like he was
and then Trump allowed it and continued it in his 2016 to 2020.
Absolutely, he upped it. Yeah,
escalated it.
Yes,
right?
He did. He gave them weaponry.
People
go, oh well, he was opposing to it because he's held on to weaponry. He paused like the weapons going because he wanted some answers, but then he went right back into it. But the Democrats, they fucking wanted to impeach him because he was pausing weaponry to the Ukrainians. If you think about it, people just like, Jesus Christ, those are not the anti-war Democrats, right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Like, but the thing is, to go back to the lesser of two evils and all of this political, Republican, Democrat, I think the more important part is like, if you are a dad and you're worried about what's going to happen, right? And you think that electoralism you think democracy as a vehicle can help us get through this, then the most important part of the ballot is the issues that are on the bottom that you get to vote for directly, right? And if you're someone who wants to get involved in some way, I would say work on those issues. Don't work for a candidate. Don't work, for any political campaign or PAC or what have you.
Direct democracy.
Right. Work for the issues that are trying to either get on the ballot in November or pass on the ballot in November.
I think there's something more cynical out there too, as well, where people don't pay too much attention to it, but they adapt to being a hamster in the wheel, which is the huge issue, right? Like it's more people are drifting away from Democrat, Republican, but they're just like, this is the world I live in. I'm either going to succeed and get food for my children, or I'm not. I'm going to sit back and cry, and everybody's going to starve. I think that's like it ties into what we're talking about, because I'm not trying to preach right versus left. I'm trying to say, let's wake up to the fucking system that we're in, to understand that we don't have choice, that we have rulers, that we have owners. They own us, right?
And I think that's why that Japanese militarism video I sent you will make a lot of sense, right? Because, and for everyone who does it, who's like, what?
Let's
There's
put it in
a
the
channel
chat. Put a
called,
link to it in the chat.
okay, there's
Yeah,
a
I'll
channel
do it.
called,
You keep talking. I'll put a link to the chat in there right now.
so there's a channel called Extra History that does literally just non-biased historical animations, right? There's millions of these channels, right, all over YouTube. It's like one of the popular thingies now is little animated talking heads instead of people. But this one talks about the period after the end of the samurai in like 1850s, where the West had basically culturally dominated um, the Japanese island, and Japan had taken over with a civilian government. And this is essentially the results of having a centralized civilian government with a military at the same time that isn't just small while not in use, I guess. But it's a story of the military taking control of the military, right? Like having no civilian checks and balances on the military system, and how civilian government will pretend that it was their decision to do the wars because they don't want to seem weak in the eyes of the people that they're supposed to be strong in. And basically, I don't think Donald Trump or even Congress or anyone is in control of the U.S. military and the U.S. intelligence. I think that they are completely rogue actors independent of a state. And I think that that is part of the problem that the lesser of two evils doesn't address, is that these systems are so out of control that they're literally just eating the rest of the country. And historically, that doesn't end well. It either ends in like mass revolution, it ends in the government either killing everyone or a world war. And in the Japanese case, it ended in the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Because the attack on Pearl Harbor, interestingly enough, wasn't even done by the Japanese government. It was done by these hyper militarist factions that, in spite of everything the government wanted and ran on, because they were doing elections and their candidates were anti-war, and then they were getting in power and war was still happening. It
But
literally
wasn't it about a oil blockade and a lot of the Japanese? I mean, I understand that some of their anti-war candidates that they were having elections from, and there was a separation between the emperor and the military, right, at one point too as well.
Yeah.
But wasn't it just because of the oil blockade and they felt like they had no choice but to do what they had to do because they wanted that oil blockade lifted up? Or I don't. I mean, there's
it was the US's presence in the Pacific that was like the tinder, and then the oil blockade basically did the same thing psychologically to the Japanese that was happening to Hitler, where Hitler invaded the Soviet Union for oil to fund or to continue the mechanization of his armies.
yes.
That is why the Japanese military decided to invade Pearl Harbor and start the second and pull America into the Second World War.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Japanese civilian government saying, we are attacking America now. It was the military saying,
Let's
we
pull
can't
them into a war where they have to be put on the same.
right.
Yeah.
So it was the military commanders that made that decision that, hey, we can't have this blockade, so we're going to war with the United States to try to break it.
We're gonna bleed them the way they're bleeding us, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everybody was bleeding everybody. Why did we come out on top, Andrew? Well, I hate to say we. Why did the West come out on top?
Because the the Nazi Germany and the United States merged economically and politically and scientifically. That's how we came out on top. Is we absorbed the people that were a third of the conflict. So we were 2/3 of the conflict, right?
Yeah.
Because we now have Japan. The only way to end the Japanese militarist system, ironically enough, was to lose World War II and have the United States say, you can't be a military anymore. Like you have no, like to this day, they have police force, they have domestic defense, but it is now in their constitution because of losing World War II that Japan just can't have a military. Like
Yep.
you can have no offensive capabilities at all.
Yep.
And that may be what has to happen in the United States, right? Where at some point the world says, like, hey, US, you're not allowed to have offensive capabilities. Like, we're not coming for your 400 million civilian guns, but you're not allowed to have more than 5 aircraft carriers or 15 destroyers. You know what I mean? And just shut down the total military side of the United States, because that's the only way Japan was able to come out of it, was the United States to say, we're your military now.
And the bombs was just about, hey, we got to test some of our military weapons for the future, so we got to test it on you guys, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that was the bomb
That's a
drop.
whole other, I think the bat bomb would have been way crazier.
The what bomb?
So at the same time that the nuclear bomb was in development, right, like the Manhattan Project was going on, there was another project trying to figure out how to burn down Japan, and they were taking bats that they caught in New Mexico, like the cave bats that are like the billions of bats, right?
Yeah.
They were catching them, putting incendiary devices on them and putting them in canisters, and they were planning on deploying them over Japanese cities to just cause fires, like uncontrolled, uncentralized fires across the paper and wood metropolitan areas. And those were literally the two ideas that were competing to end World War II, was the nuclear bomb
And the bat bomb.
like 30 million bats being dropped from airplanes. And the bats almost won. Like, they were really close.
I think that's crazy. I like to see a video on bat bombs. That's nuts. You're here with Andrew Ziegman. It's a Friday, guys. It's drive time. Usually it's your time to call on in, but we are without our producer, Sleepy J. He's caught in tornado and storm weather, knocked out all the electricity grid over there. And I don't know. I think it was an EMP taking out Illinois first. It's payback for what Obama did. So they took out Illinois first, and he's just living in it. You know, he's about to go to Lord of the Flies, style. You know, Josh is going to grab his pitchfork and his single revolver and hit the streets. You're here with Andrew Ziegman. Andrew Ziegman is an activist for the Assange member. He's one of the founders, I believe. Also, the No More Wars. What was the End the Damn Wars? What was your thing?
End the Damn Wars.
End the Damn Wars, which so much more fucking meaning than Rage Against the War Machine bullshit that's now fucking, what's that douchebag's name?
Nick Brana?
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yes, I was thinking about one of the funders. I forgot his name totally. This Nick Brana is involved with it, and that's why any real anti-war activist that I know, especially the ones from the left, that will never do anything that Nick Brana is involved with. He shouldn't be involved. He went to work for Kennedy, and he still held on to that. And then Andrew McArdle, she was also one of the starters of Rage Against the War Machine too, as well. And she supported Donald Trump with Rescue the Republic, and pushed more of our Christian Judaic values down our throats. But Andrew's thing, End the Damn Wars, was kind of cool. It should have caught on, but that's the thing. It doesn't seem like you can get anything rolling unless you have corporate sponsorship, right? Like, you know, they just suppress you out, they squeeze you out. Now that what we're doing right now is we're battling in a field that is so controlled right now, right? Like voices on YouTube. Indy said, fuck YouTube. They won't allow us to get out. They won't allow discussions to be had that will make people think. They want people in their tribes, in their corners, in their boxes. So they're controlling this whole thing. And that's what they did to End the Damn Wars. They were like, we're going to end the damn movement.
So I don't think you have to have big political movements to make a difference. Yeah. Like, I think you can have small, loud movements that make a difference over time, as long as you don't relent. Which, like, for you know what it's worth, at least they're still there doing it. You know, I may not agree with everything that they have to say, but like, I'm not going to talk shit about someone that's at least still doing something. You know, yeah. It may not be the most correct way to do it, but you know.
Well, End the Damn Wars. We're kind of here doing that. This is a continuation of it. So Congratulations. You come back around full circle on your own show, Andrew.
I appreciate it.
Let's talk about the Green Party.
Oh man. Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
That's why you're here, man. You're here to eat up space, provide the content, and eat up time talking about the Green Party. Let me change the banner, though. But at the end of the day, lesser of two evils, if you had the gun to your head, you said you're picking a Democrat to push back against the Republicans.
I'm picking a Democrat.
But ideologically, you lean more left than right, or no? You're an anti-collectivist, right? You don't want any. You're like a, I don't know.
I'm not anti-collectivist. I am anti-centralized power. Like if I had to pick a term for myself, I'd be like a municipalist. Like I think that most things can be handled on either the personal or community level for the majority of things. And then whatever can't be moved down to your local city should be evaluated for whether or not it even needs to exist.
We could build roads and railroads together, man.
But who built the railroads? It wasn't the government. Like, for as much as terrible as it sounds, it wasn't the government. It was basically Irish slave labor.
Different times, different places now. We got a lot of shit going on. We've been already built out. We got to build around the infrastructure we have. It's going to take some cooperation from governments to get it done. It's the way it is. Not getting it done without governments working together to get it done.
So on the Green Party, I'll just start with what got me into the Green Party. I don't know much about what's happening today.
The ideology did. The party apparatus is what makes you fucking run like crazy. Like I'm getting the fuck out of here.
So the Green Party has 10 core tenets, essentially, like nonviolence, democracy, social justice, environmentalism, and a couple others. You can look up their 10 core values. Yes. Decentralization is one of them.
The pillars.
And, on paper, I love the Green Party, right? Like I love a lot of people that are in the Ohio Green Party. Like I would if one of them reached out to me and was like, "Hey Andrew, could you do blah blah blah?" I would help them, right? And the problem is the operations of COINTELPRO exists, like political infiltration of systems. Mm-hmm. And one of the defining characteristics of a symptom of being politically infiltrated or being infiltrated by an intelligence service like the FBI or what have you is really deep infighting, like really erroneous, really stupid infighting, right? And so to where I began in the Green Party, Bernie Sanders lost, right? He lost the primary. He spit in Julian Assange's face by saying, "I support Hillary Clinton," after running a campaign dedicated to, "I'm being cheated, the system's corrupt, there's no reason we all can't have health care," right? And then at the end of it, he was like, "Well, I lied, she's awesome, vote for her." And I literally have a sign that says "We're going green" that I had outside of the DNC in 2016. Like I could give you that picture of me.
Yeah, but what Bernie Sanders was saying is that you have to pick the lesser of two evils.
Right. So I didn't, right? And I don't think Hillary Clinton was the lesser of two evils anyways, for what that's worth.
I got you.
But
Donald Trump is the most racist, sexist president of all times.
Since the 90s anyways, at least, right?
Yeah.
But so I joined the Green Party. I formed my local Green Party of Lorain County, Ohio PAC, right? I was working on running for offices, getting my little petitions and all those fun things. And we had probably 13 of us that would show up total, on occasion or regularly to meetings for the Green Party. And it was really cool, just doing local things. We got involved. That's how I started actual activism, fighting against pipelines, because I went to where the people were that were trying to change. Instead of telling people, "I want to change things, come to me," I was going to them and seeing okay, who's trying to change things and what are they trying to change? Who are the people that actually care to engage civically, right? Mm-hmm. And so then that eventually led to me working with the Ohio Green Party State Central Committee, right? And I was elected to the Ohio Green Party State Central Committee at one point. Like I served a 2-year term on it. And during one of the meetings, I remember thinking to myself, what are we doing? And it was 45 minutes in to the second discussion about the color of our shirts. And I'm like I'm sitting there.
DSA had these problems. They showed some of these
Right.
meetings with DSA, and it's just like you can't. And I've been in rooms with progressives, like from the Bernie Sanders diet in California, and we couldn't order lunch as a group of 20 people.
Right. And I was just sitting there like, our shirts are gonna be green.
Like, we're the Green Party.
Right. And so like 30 people were debating the shade of green. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it was really taking away from what you really went there to do.
Right.
It's COINTELPRO shit. It is.
Yeah.
It high up the apparatus itself.
And it's not even everyone involved, and it doesn't have to be anyone involved, right? Because it doesn't have to be like a Fed that's trying to take over. Sometimes it is, right? But it could.
But they don't even promote feds. Really quickly, they promote people that are narcissists, and they put them and they get them in positions of power, so they know that it will fuck it up. They're useful idiots more than paid propaganda.
Yeah, it's ultimately it's people with ego problems.
Yes,
and the Fed could have been there 2 years ago, right? And built this animosity between 6 different people in the group of 70 that are the leaders of the little different nitpicky factions. Yes. And to me, I would rather organize outside of that process, right? Like I was running for school board. You needed 25 valid signatures on your petition to get on the ballot. And then it's the top 6 votes for people that get put into the school board because it's a nonpartisan race. And I was like, my kids go to these schools. I want to be on the school board. Yeah. Right. So I run my petitions. I collect probably 87 signatures. Right. I register probably 60 people to vote that live in the district that I'm running in. And I turn everything in, and you wait a week, and I go back and they said, you only had 24. Sorry. Only 24 were valid. You needed 25. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. That's a common thing.
And then, the icing on the cake was that happened. And the only real help I was given from the Green Party was the idea of, okay, well, all you have to do is go around and get all of these people to sign affidavits stating that they actually signed your petition.
Yeah.
And so it's like, basically you have to do all of this now legal work to be able to engage in this process. And to me, it was like, I'm just going to go fight for this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just going to, and so the real point, because I think I was elected in 2018 or something to the Green Party State Central Committee. And then Julian Assange was arrested in end of 2019 or beginning of 2019. And I went to DC the weekend that he was arrested, and no one was there. There was no protest. There was no, right? There were Unity for Jay was going. Jimmy Dore had done a 4-hour live stream about it, trying to figure out what was going on. And I was sitting in DC just thinking by myself, where's everybody at? Right? What am I supposed to do when everybody's not here? Mm-hmm. And that's where the whole mentality of the personal protest and the just be the person that goes out and puts up the posters wherever you want to put up a poster. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think the Green Party's a great vehicle for helping people realize that political change isn't possible electorally for R's and D's, but that you can win on issue-specific things like the data center ban here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And I think single-payer healthcare will have to work the same way. I think that someone could start a state referendum to get an electoral process for single-payer healthcare, to get that on the ballot as a constitutional amendment. You know what I mean? So I think I think collectivist systems are possible, and I'm not anti-collective, right? I'm just anti-collective when the military is in control of it and is the ultimate beneficiary of that system, I guess. If that makes sense. Like
Which,
we
it makes
share
100%. Too much
but
centralized power is bad, and
yeah,
who's holding the centralized power? That's bad. And it's interesting what you said about the
but
Green Party, about the school board, because they do this shit all the time. And as an election integrity activist, I have to also acknowledge ballot access as a form of election fraud. It really
yeah,
is. If you can control who can get on the ballot to run in the first place, then that's a form of election control, right? Election engineering of sorts.
mhm.
And that does exist. Butch Ware did not get on the ballot in California for governor. He had to be a write-in candidate, and he was the Green Party's candidate. He was the vice president candidate for Dr. Jill Stein last time, so he had a little bit of a name, especially with the Greens, but he couldn't even get in the ballot. And I don't know sometimes, because even myself, it was like, all right, I know what they do. They do this all the time. It's fucked up. But then there's that part of me that like says, well, the Green Party has been such a fucking clusterfuck at times. Like they're not organized, and they don't, like you even mentioned like this whole situation. Like they didn't help you get those affidavits. You had to go do that yourself, or
Yeah, that I had to, and like I could have, like I'm not saying that if I really was determined, I could have went and got 28 affidavits of these people stating like, yes, I signed this petition, yes, this is where I live, right?
well, you
I
just
could,
knew you would have run into something else. And if you're doing it by yourself,
right,
it's
and
kind of like it makes no sense. That's what the party's supposed to be there for, to help you get through these things. You're supposed to get candidates on ballots and get local candidates elected.
but so the most true thing about the Green Party though is that it is a running vehicle with the doors wide open that no one wants to drive because of how annoying the passengers are.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if people like I don't know if you get what I mean by that, but like the Green Party, any minor political party, you could just take over, right? If they like can exist on the ballot. And you saw Bobby Kennedy try to do that. Bobby Kennedy, you saw RFK try to do that, right?
Yeah.
Where he was like, let me be a libertarian, bros. Like I'm a libertarian, like I'm gonna run as a libertarian. And honestly, you could do that, right? You could run as the Green Party and you could build a political movement outside of the Green Party apparatus. And I think that's the only way you could really make it work. Like if someone like Bernie Sanders came in with all of his people and his campaign and said, we're just basically Green Party in name, is how it would have to work, really. Is you would have to get someone pre-existing. And that's why people like Jesse Ventura have tried and things like that. But I don't think that it is, or libertarians for that same reason, is a viable strategy for political change. Because the only people that could succeed at it would be the people already large enough to have been a Republican or Democrat to begin with.
I think I think you hit it on the nose too as well. COINTELPRO has already fucking spread their fucking. And I look at these things like I was honestly looking back in the days. I was looking so hard into the Green Party because I'm like, okay, well, if these parties are just lacking the right type of leadership, why wouldn't the right type of leadership come in, co-opt, take the whole party over, and use the apparatus that's already in play, right? Like their ballot access that's already in play in all these other states and build upon that. It's a great
could
vehicle.
I offer you a strange idea? And I think the reason why it hasn't been taken over is because no one's attracted to it in that way, right? Like no one gets involved in the Green Party because they want to rule the world. And I think that's part of the paradox.
But if you want to enact change, people still believe in the system, the marketing of the system that's in front of us. Like we, the people, are the representatives through government, and that's how we obtain power. And it's not obtain so much power; it's obtain change, right? It's like if they're trying to get healthier meals in the schools for children, that's positive change, right? If they're trying to get poor people working jobs or better salaries, that's positive change. It's not necessarily power. So I don't know. For every Green Party member that joins it, you think that they would want to be a part of that because they're about enacting those 10 things you talked about, that positive change.
And that is the mentality that prevents people from winning electorally with the Green Party. And with, I don't know as much about the Libertarians because I wasn't involved in like their state central committees and things like that. But the Green Party is okay with winning ideologically, where people, the higher ups in the Green Party have been there so long that their idea is we just want to change the dialogue. Like, we're not here to necessarily win the election. We are a minor political party that has the ability to issue recount ballots. Like, we can recount any election in a state that we have minor party access in. And we want to change and influence the narrative and the political discourse. And I think that's the real power of the Green Party and the real power of the Libertarian Party as well. Because like I look at someone like Ron Paul. Ron Paul ran in the Republican Party, and his express point was, I'm here to promote the cause of liberty. Like, I am not here to be a politician. I am not here to play these games. And I think that someone could rise to prominence as a Green Party member and then either be a Democrat or a Republican and be similar to Ron Paul, where they have those, this is my ideological line. Because we don't have, like, leftists don't have that, right? Where you have like the Thomas Masseys and the Rand Pauls and the Ron Pauls that were part of the political process before and after their time in a major political party. And like Bernie Sanders, he gets cheated out of an election. He says, support this lady. She's the best. We're going to win. And Ron Paul says, fuck these people. You're all fascists. You're all terrible. You're all tyrants. I'm going to go start a podcast and tell everyone how bad you are, and literally have a fucking stroke live on camera because of how much I care about these issues when I'm 90 fucking years old, still talking about it. And
Kyle Anzalone, who's our Thursday co-host, won't be our co-host next week. He's on vacation. He'll be on assignment. But he talked about it. He's like, no, they don't want to win elections. They want to change the dialogue. They want to implement voices.
And
only because too, as well, because to take on and try to get power, you're taking on lawsuits and they're bleeding you out. Like, they know that. They just going to bleed you out. So why even get involved in that? You're going to get stripped of the resources you already have. Use those resources where you can change the dialogue and get your information out there. Please continue, Andrew.
And I just want to say Jill Stein is a real motherfucker. Like, she is a true badass. And like, I know people can say whatever about whatever, but like, I don't know anyone else whose Secret Service has duct taped to a chair in a warehouse because she was trying as a presidential candidate to get on the presidential debate stage. Right. And so like, I have a lot of respect for Dr. Stein and what she tries to do, because she is promoting, just like Ron Paul, these ideas that need to take seed and grow together with the ideas of liberty, right? Like, I don't think collectivism and independence from government are disconnected, right? I just think that the system should be built together with both of those things in mind. That like, we can all agree people are really fucking corrupt. Like I'm sure you and me, if we had something threatened from us or something like that, may take a position that we wouldn't otherwise want to take, right? And like, it's just human nature to do these things and be forced into certain things. And I think recognizing that and building these collective systems outside of government would be the way forward. Because like, we can't, like, basically we don't want the Zionists providing healthcare, right? Like that, like, if they're the ones who get to decide the treatment of everyone else is going to be treated poorly. But when everyone else gets to decide their own treatment, so I don't think it's an easy answer, but I think the problems, I think that we have a lot more problems that are easier to solve, that are smaller, that will create people that are willing to solve the bigger ones.
I think that's the answer too. That's how I feel about healthcare, because I've been like all over the place with this, because after COVID is like, I don't want this is not a healthcare system. This is a sick care system. I don't want, this here. And people thought that I didn't think that healthcare was a human right, where I always thought that healthcare is a human right. It's just that the system we have, I don't want to pour more fucking shit into that because it's, built upon profit and whatnot. And I don't want to make it stronger and stuff. So when people ask me like, so what position do you think the government should play? I want the government to pay for it through our collective taxes instead of spending it on war. But then I want them to shut the fuck up about what healthcare I decide to use. You know what I'm saying? And, I know it's a kind of crazy place, but, I'd rather have a shitty system right now that we have because I don't want poor people to be shut out of insulin and other things they need. So I'll deal with this crap. This is where the gun to the head, where, at times I'll be like, fuck that shit. I'm not being told that I have to take a vaccine to get healthcare. That's not healthcare. That's what I'm saying.
That was literally the argument Ron Paul made that everyone made fun of him for, was healthcare shouldn't be administered at the barrel of a gun. And everyone's like, that'll never happen. How would healthcare be administered at the barrel of a gun? And then you have people locked in camps for not taking a vaccine.
Yeah.
Like all across, like not here in the United States, but all across the world, people were literally put in camps for not taking a vaccine because of the healthcare at the barrel of a gun that Dr. Paul warned about, really,
I'm getting word about Steven Spielberg's new film. Disclosure Day has opened in cities across the world. The film is remarkable portrayal of information germane to the actual disclosure process taking place now. Steven Spielberg himself implies that that his film is in a certain ways realistic by design. Have you heard about this new movie?
Yeah.
Disclosure Day?
Yeah, I still want the Epstein disclosure,
Yeah.
Like I don't think the aliens are going to come down here and be like, "Oh, cool, you were raping your kids," great. So I think that's a little more important before we get to,
Well, I don't know. I think the aliens know that they've started hanging around since they've dropped the atomic bomb. There's that theory.
Have you seen the whitest kids you know war in Iran clip?
No, please bring it.
Let me find it real quick.
The whitest kids you know
in Iran. The whitest kids you know.
I know the whitest kids you know. They do some really dark shit. Didn't one of those guys die?
Yeah. Trevor did. Can I play this, or is this copyrighted? Is another channel YouTube video copyrighted?
Whatever. I've already played the Charlie Chapman video, and
that's fair. Let me get past the ad real quick, and then I'll pull it up. Because this is how I feel about.
Give you permission to share, right? Or you have to share it and.
Yeah, I'll share screen real quick.
Come on, share screen. I don't know why Israel. That show with the bot was called The Robot Was Israel. And I'm going to sleep right here. All right, here we are. The whitest kids you know. Make sure the volume's up.
Okay.
I have seen this. Volume up.
The president has asked me to come out and make a brief statement about the wire that just went out a couple minutes
ago. The volume,
ago.
Andrew.
To make things short, I will just
hold on one second.
To the left.
I turned it up all the way. I have to adjust my computer volume, I think.
Yeah, because you can't hear it. And I have seen this.
Confirm that yes, we do have a moon base, and yes.
Can you hear better now?
A little bit. It worked.
Now I will open it up if there are any questions.
Mr. President. Yes. I have a 11-part question.
I'm sorry, I only have time for 2.
All right, let me get this straight. So the United States government is admitting that we do have a moon base and that there is a bear problem on said moon base.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, follow-up question. Are you this?
No, we are not, and I would like to remind everyone to keep the language civilized. This is the White House.
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary, Bob Daniels, Newsweek.
Mr. Daniels.
How long have we had the moon base? And are these bears Earth bears, or are they from the moon?
I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to disclose how long we've had this moon base at this time. We do believe these to be Earth bears. We have no reason to believe these to be lunar bears or even Saturn bears.
Todd Albright, PBS. There's Saturn bears?
I am also not at liberty to go into the various types of woodland life forms on Saturn or any of the other 12 planets.
9 planets.
Right. I've said too much already. What I can show you is the images that have been beamed down to us from the Odyssey satellite system just a couple hours ago. This is the view out of the front door of the United States secret moon base. This was taken yesterday before we discovered the bear problem. And this one was taken just a couple hours ago. So, as you can see, bears everywhere.
Mr. President, Mr. President. Yeah, those bears appear to have guns and motorcycles.
We believe they may be involved in some sort of intergalactic drug cartel, perhaps affiliated with one of the interstellar wizard alliances.
Wizard alliances?
Yes, next question.
Just a thought, more of a shot in the dark, but we wouldn't happen to be invading Iran today, would we?
You got me.
I fell for it. You almost got away with that one.
No, I went too far. I almost had it. I should have stopped after the slides. I knew I should have stopped.
I didn't think anything about it until the cartel thing, and I was like, what?
Okay, all right. Let's forget this whole thing. Who wants a drink? First round's on me. Come on.
I have seen that before.
And that's my opinion of the disclosure, you know. That video sums it up really well.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to close her out now. We're going to close her out maybe 4 or 5 minutes earlier. Great discussions today, Andrew. I want you to if you want to put a bow or say any of the last words, now is the time. You can let everybody know where they can find you. Obviously, you do your own thing, so you're not part of any group or any website or anything. So, but maybe people can go follow your Twitter, whatever, hang out. They want to get information from you, talk to you more, any of that stuff. And I'm so thankful you're doing this with me on Fridays. It was awesome to see you in here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like right away. And you've done the whole show with me. I can't thank you enough, man. I know you got a lot of dad responsibilities, and I love you. And I'm so glad you decided to do this. This is fun. I mean, look for a second. Willie, hold your thought, but look at us. You with the fucking hat, with me in the sunglasses. This is entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you get. You get what you pay for. You're not paying anything, so this is what you get. Go ahead, Andrew.
People can follow me on Twitter. I'm not the most active right now, but I've been active before, and I'll probably be active again. At Andrew Zigman, spelled like the doobly-doo in the corner or whatever.
Put the link in the chat.
But just take the time to enjoy the people that you spend your life with, you know. Like I think that's an important thing right now. And do what you can to make change in the world that you live in and for the change that you think you can make. You know?
You know, we started out earlier in the show talking about Jason Burmis. We're going to finish with talking about Jason Burmis. You know, when I started learning a lot of things, listening to you guys about a lot of things, and, you know, obviously one of the things that you had kind of gotten me, the UBI was one of the big discussions we had where I was like, something in my head changed. You know, I stopped. People have their vices. I still have some vices, right? Like, you know, I'm a sucker for love. But gambling was a bad one, right? Like I had friends who were alcoholics, friends who were drug addicts, whatever, or, you know, had their issues there. Mine was gambling. But somebody had told me, I was in Las Vegas, one of my close friends, and I lost most of my money that I'd worked hard for. And I was worried. I had the ability to wait tables, and because I started in the kitchen with my dad. By the time I was 18, I was waiting tables on the floor, and I got to some of the better restaurants, and I was making a lot of money, and I pissed a lot of it away gambling. But a friend of mine said, Vegas wasn't built on winners, and here I am sitting in Vegas. I blew my fucking load, everything I had like 2 days to burn time. Thank God I paid for the hotel room ahead of time because I knew I might be busted, but I didn't even know how the fuck I was going to eat. And he said Vegas wasn't built on winners, and I just looked around. And really, everything changed from that perspective. Like I stopped. That was better than any therapy I ever went to or any group meeting I ever went. Something clicked in my head, and I was able to really fucking beat that down. Like now when I go to Vegas, I'll mostly play poker here and there, which is not like you're not playing against the house and it's small amounts. I won't put a lot at risk. I don't need to do it. I've been in Vegas before for like 4 or 5 days. I lived in Vegas, and when I lived out there, I didn't even gamble that much, you know what I'm saying, at all. I want to say that much because I did place bets here and there to have fun.
Yeah.
Like I do have a bet right now on the Knicks to win the series because that's my team and whatever. But, you know, I kicked the gambling bug because he said that something changed when you discussed UBI with me, where it made me think like, okay, I get it. You know, as a human being, thinking UBI is a compassionate way so that, you know, everybody on this planet won't have to worry about starving, right? Like UBI will fix that, right? You think that, but then you realize the mechanism of control, UBI like, oh, wait.
Yeah, UBI is just CBDC. UBI is just what the left calls central bank digital currency.
Well, now they're using stable coins so that they can use that too as well. There's always another mechanism they have in play. But when you did discuss that with me, it changed my perspective. And it's great that you're here with me today, Andrew. I love you. Thank you so much for coming on. I'll see you next Friday. You're good?
Absolutely. I will be here, man.
Awesome. Hopefully we'll get some call-ins so people can call in. If you're watching the show this week, next week you'll be able to call in and talk and blast Andrew if you want, and he'll be able to come back in the nicest way possible because the dude's a sweetheart. I love you, brother. I'm going to do my closing monologue.
Love you too, buddy. Take it easy, man.
We will definitely – I'll take it anywhere I can get it, buddy. How about that? Love you. Andrew Ziegman, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make sure the volume's – it's time to do the closing monologue of the show. Got a call yesterday from a family member, by the way, out of the blue, that said, man, I've been watching your show. And I'm like, I didn't even know you knew I have my show. He goes, oh, I know everything about you. He goes, I'm one step away. I just need your social security number to conceal the fucking deal. But he was busting balls. But he said he was very proud of what I was doing. He thinks it's great. And to continue to work on this, to get this, to grow the show and whatnot. And, you know, I told him, thank you so much. I was so awesome that he said that about me. But I can't thank you enough, the viewer, even with times the last 2 days where we haven't even been able to have phone calls, which is the whole purpose of the show, to get you involved. You still hung in here with me and toughed it out. So thank you so much to everybody in there. Manamus, can't you get calls with Messenger? It's a whole thing. We have a whole system set up with your phone line, everything operated. You know, I once again, we're just working at the kinks. We're still, you know, in the first phase before I can take it over. We are planning to have it so that I can operate the system in case Josh is out. But right now we're still at the beginning phases. This is the beta testing phase. You're hanging out here with us. Hemcar, thank you so much. I know you're just a sucker for my love. Tina Marie, I'm a sucker for your love, Hemcar. You've been around. Thank you so much. Global Solidarity Now. Love you. Anthony Imperio. We need to get together. Let's get a little bajut. Entenmann Bills. Rasputin rules. Thank you so much, Entenmann Bill. We appreciate it. John Jeffers. Who else? I don't want to miss anybody because you guys are so amazing. Stacy Davis, 8509, been active all day talking. Catholic I know you guys some of you guys probably love it when I fucked up words because you know I'm just a human being and my tongue gets twisted. Some of you are like, can't you fucking speak English, motherfucker? Catalytic Centaur, 5835, probably gonna yell at me for not saying it right. Katie Kane, thank you so much. Been hanging out all day. I think I've gotten most of the names I'm seeing. Julian, 8416. Angie Gracie, 6954. Thank you guys to all and girls and to everybody or whatever you want to be identified. Yang, D6E7Q. Been listening to you every day. Great show, Pasta. I'm going to end with that comment. Thank you. You guys are just as big a part of this as I am. I'm glad I decided to start doing this. This is 3 weeks complete of getting up nice and early. And that was the question when also my friend asked me, how do you like the time slot? Is that tough? I'm like, you know, it forces me to get up early. Early bird gets the worm. It's changing the habits. I was a night owl for most of my life growing up in the restaurant business. I don't want to do it no more. I want to be an early bird gets the worm guy. I've already done a little Tai Chi. I'm going to finish my Tai Chi when I'm done. You know, I'm already, it's 9 o'clock, 9:58. It's about to be 10 o'clock and I'm almost down a whole pot of coffee at a half a pot already. We'll knock out the other half a pot before noon. I have a Truth Wire today with Fiorella Isabel. We're going to start around 12:15. We have a hard out at 2 as I have to go to the DMV later on. But we're going to talk about Bolivia and Peru. There's a lot of stuff going on there, especially if you're interested in resource extraction and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the Great Reset. The materials to build the control grid are in Bolivia and Peru, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's very inspiring because I've asked, I put it out into the universe. Man, I hope the people in Bolivia come in from the outer realms, the indigenous people from Bolivia and Peru, because we need somebody to show an example that workers can fight back against the ruling class. And they're doing that right now in Bolivia and in Peru. They're ready to do it if there's some fuckery going on and they don't let the class-conscious candidate in Roberto Sanchez Palomino take power. Because it's more power for the people. That's it for today. Let's get to the. You know what I'm going to do though? I'm going to change this music. Let's try something a little bit different as we get the. Let's get more rhythm here. No, that's too. This is it. Night driving. Guys, the closing monologue is here. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matter. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you, reach out to someone with a different viewpoint. Share a meal, have a conversation, a cup of coffee, or just simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond, because sometimes conflict can often bring resolution. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and the peace growing. That's it for Drive Time this week, boys and girls. I want to thank you all for joining in. Sleepy J, Gabrielle Freedom, who was on assignment today. We didn't see her. Fred Edward, who got up early and got in here. We love you. Who also gave me the new WOP, without pasta. We want to be WOPs without pasta. We need pasta, and I need you. That's why this works. I love you all. We'll see you next week. Truth Wire in a couple hours if you want to watch that or listen to that. Until then, bye, y'all, and peace.